Tom Yum is a fragrant Thai soup loved all over the world for its hot sour flavor and generous amount of fresh herbs. There are lots of variations of Tom Yum, but today we're making one of the more popular ones, chock full of shrimp, rice noodles, and a homemade chili jam. Now, up until just a few years ago, we wouldn't have tried to show you how to make an authentic version of this soup because the ingredients were too hard to find, but that's not the case anymore, is it, Becky?
No, now all of these ingredients are widely available, which is awesome. So we're going to start with that chili jam. It's called Nam Prik Pao, and it's great on the soup, but you can also put it on rice or noodles, eggs. So we're starting with a half a cup of vegetable oil, and I have 2 shallots that are thinly sliced. We're going to cook these for 10 to 14 minutes. We want these shallots to get nice and golden brown, develop a really savory flavor. It's been a little more than 10 minutes here, and you can smell those shallots.
Oh, they smell delicious.
Yeah. So I'm going to scoop these out of the pot now using a slotted spoon. So next I have 4 thinly sliced garlic cloves. We're going to put these in. We want them to get nice and golden. That's going to take 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, so it's been 2 minutes. You can see we're getting there. So we're putting the garlic into the bowl with our shallots. And now next to the pot, I have 10 arbol chilies. And I took the stems off, cut them in half lengthwise. And we could use half of the seeds, or you could use all the seeds.
What are you going to do?
What do you think? I'm using all of them.
Yeah.
Right? Let's go for it.
All the seeds are bust.
That's right. And you'll see the chilies are going to start to color that oil. We're going to cook this for 1 or 2 minutes until the chilies get nice and deep, rich red.
Okay.
All right. So you can see how those chilies are nice and dark. Woo, get that.
Oh, yeah.
That'll make your eyes water.
It smells good, though.
It does. It smells amazing. So let's take those off the heat, and now we're going to strain it into a strainer. We want to save every bit of it. So now we'll move over to the food processor. We're going to take our fried shallots and garlic. All right, and now I'll add toasted chilies. Those go into the food processor as well. And now I have 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, a little bit of sweetness, light brown sugar, 3 tablespoons of fresh lime juice. All right, now we'll just buzz this up for 15 to 30 seconds. We want it to form a nice thick paste. Okay, now we'll put this back in that saucepan. That's why we didn't wash it earlier.
Aha.
We want to make sure we get every last drop of that stuff. That's gold. All right, and now I'll add 2 tablespoons of fish sauce, give it a nice saltiness, and 2 tablespoons of that oil that we saved. So now we'll put this over medium-low heat. Okay, it's been 5 minutes, and you can see it's cooked down here. This can be made up to a month in advance. We'll clean up and then we'll make the soup.
All right.
Okay, so we'll start our soup with some rice vermicelli. I have 4 ounces here, and we prefer the type that's made with 100% rice flour. You can find some that have another starch, like cornstarch added, but we want to go for the 100% rice flour if you can find it.
Yeah, they have a much better texture.
So the type with another secondary starch added will need to soak for about 15 minutes. The pure 100% rice flour type will go for 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
I have 4 quarts of boiling water here. If you wouldn't mind putting the vermicelli in.
Sure, and turning the water off?
Yep.
Noodles go in, heat goes off.
Just give them a stir. We'll stir them every once in a while. We'll check them after 10 minutes. So while those sit, we'll move on to the aromatics for the soup. So we're starting with the galangal, also known as Thai ginger. And you want to start by peeling it. And we're going to take the peel off, and it's a lot tougher than the regular ginger that we're used to. So we're going to cut this into 1/4-inch pieces. And like I said, very fibrous. We're going to smash these up, so these don't need to be perfect. And now we have 4 scallions. We're going to use the white parts, and then we'll cut the green parts into 1-inch pieces that we'll add to the soup later. So my next aromatic are these macroot lime leaves.
Ooh.
And these have this amazing citrusy taste. Yeah, when you break it apart, then you start to get those oils come out. So we just want to tear these up if there are any large ones. And now we have 2 stalks of lemongrass, more of that really nice citrusy taste. And then I have 1 Thai chili. We're just going to cut off the stem there. You can find these ingredients at specialty markets or online. And now's the fun part. We tested lots of different ways of treating these aromatics, just slicing them. We buzzed them up in a food processor. But the best way was the most traditional way, and that's going at it with a pounder.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we want to release all those oils. Here we go.
I'm going to take a stand back.
Yeah. The scallions are a little more tender. We'll go for those. There we go. See how it breaks apart? Now we'll do our lemongrass. Again, the odors are coming up, right? So now we're going to add this to chicken broth. So traditionally this soup is made with a pork bone broth or with just straight up water. More modern recipes call for chicken broth. So that's 8 cups of chicken broth. So the aromatics are in, and I'm adding a tablespoon of sugar just to start building those sweet flavors I was talking about. Now we'll bring this to a boil, and then we'll turn it down to a simmer. We'll let it go for about 15 minutes to start to draw out all those aromatic oils.
Okay.
Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes, and we can check on our noodles here. The easiest way to tell if they're done is just to give one a taste.
The only way to tell if they're done.
All right, and they're perfect. Nice and tender. So if you'll do me a favor and drain those, and then you want to rinse them with cool water.
Okay.
So that they don't clump up, and you want to rinse off any excess starch.
Now you said this is enough for 4 bowls of soup, so I'll just put about half into these bowls for us.
All right, so in the meantime, our broth has been simmering here for about 15 minutes, and I'm just going to strain out all these aromatics. In Thailand, it's traditional actually to leave all this stuff in, but we found it's just easier to eat if you pull everything out ahead of time. All right, so we don't need those anymore. They have done their job.
Okay.
And now we're going to add 8 ounces of oyster mushrooms. I just pull them off like this, and if they're pieces that are larger than 1 inch, I'll tear them in half. Otherwise, I'll just leave them whole. We can leave these stems behind because they're just a tiny bit tough. So we're going to put this into the pot, and 1 Thai chili. So in that goes. Next, I'm adding 3 tablespoons of fish sauce. And remember those scallion greens that we had left over? So in those go. We'll let this simmer for 3 or 4 minutes just to get those mushrooms and scallions to soften just a tiny bit.
Okay.
And while that happens, we'll come over here and we'll prepare the shrimp. So I have a pound of shrimp here, and I'm just going to prepare the last couple here. We just want to take off the tail and the shell.
And those look like big shrimp. Are those 2125s?
Yes, extra large. And then you want to remove the vein that runs along the back of the shrimp. So if you just score it lightly with a paring knife, there's not always one there, but there it is. Okay, so that one's looking good. All right, so it's been about 4 minutes, and you can see that the mushrooms have softened just a little bit, and the scallions too. So now it's time to add our shrimp, and it's traditional to leave them whole. If you like, you could cut them in half crosswise for easier eating, but I like them whole. And now we're going to kill the heat, and we're just going to let this sit with the lid on for 4 to 5 minutes. That way they're going to be perfectly plump, they won't turn rubbery, they'll be just right. All right, it's been 5 minutes, so let's take a look and we'll see how our shrimp are doing. And we want them to look opaque, just like that.
Nice and curled.
Yep, just right, nice and pink. So now I'm going to add 12 ounces of halved fresh cherry tomatoes.
Ooh.
And that'll just add a really nice pop of color, a little bit of acidity and some sweetness. Now 2 tablespoons of lime juice. And we're getting close to the moment we've been waiting for. I just want to give it a quick taste. So I have some fish sauce and some sugar, and I want to see if it needs any more salt or sugar. Ooh, I think it's just right. I'm going to add a tiny bit of sugar because it's pretty acidic and spicy. All right, let's do it.
Okay. And so the hot soup goes right over the cold noodles and heats those noodles through.
How beautiful is that?
Oh, the tomatoes add a lot of color, I have to say.
I have more condiments for us. Here's some cilantro.
I like a lot of cilantro.
Yeah, I do too. And then here's some Thai basil.
Okay.
You could tear those up, the large ones. And some Thai chilies here if you want it to be even a little hotter.
Just a little.
Yeah, and then a nice squeeze of lime. And I just drop it right in because that's like the cool way to do it.
Gotcha. Thanks,
Right?
thanks for the tip.
Okay, and finally the jam.
How much can I add? Like that much?
Oh yeah, as much as you like.
All right.
It almost looks too pretty to eat. It's so beautiful.
Almost. Oh, wow. That broth with all those layers of flavor and that jam on top.
So fresh. There's so much going on. I almost don't know what to think about first. The sweetness, the sour.
The fresh herbs, the tender noodles. This is the kind of soup that cures whatever ails you.
And how about that jam? Cannot skip that jam. I really think it makes the soup. It adds so much depth. It's savory, sweet, spicy. I know I'm going on and on about it.
The jam is pretty good.
It's so good.
And the shrimp are perfectly cooked. Becky, this is delicious. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So if you want to make an authentic pot of tom yum, start by making a spicy chili jam. Cook rice noodles and build a flavorful broth with lemongrass, recruit lime leaves, and galangal. After cooking mushrooms and scallion greens in the broth, remove it from the heat and stir in the shrimp. To serve, ladle the soup into individual bowls filled with noodles and garnish with lots of fresh herbs and that amazing chili jam. From America's Test Kitchen to your kitchen, a killer recipe for Thai hot and sour soup with shrimp and noodles. Thanks for watching America's Test Kitchen. What'd you think?
Well, leave a comment and let us know which recipes you're excited to make, or you can just say hello.
You can find links to today's recipes and reviews in the video description.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
See you later.
I'll see you later.